Georgia Governor Brian Kemp faced off with Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams in their final debate last night. They sparred over the state's economy, abortion rights, and which party is to blame for the country's problems, including crime and gun violence. Kemp accused Abrams of supporting defunding the police, which she denied. Abrams blamed rising crime on Georgia's loose gun laws under Kemp. Our latest ABC News and Ipsos poll shows gun violence as the fourth most important issue in this election cycle, with 7% of voters listing it as their top issue. Galen Druk from ABC's 538 joins me live now for more on all of this. Galen, how critical are the issues of gun violence and crime in general to this election cycle? Because I know here in New York, you see the political ads, so many of them are focused on crime.
Yeah, so I think it is an issue. We saw during 2020 and 2021 crime rates increase across the country, and Americans have felt that. I think that that increase has ebbed a little bit, and so it's declined slightly as an issue, but it's still up there. And sort of the irony of this issue is that crime and gun violence are viewed differently by the electorate. So Republicans are more concerned about crime, and in general, the public trusts Republicans more on the issue of crime, whereas Democrats are more concerned with gun violence, and the public trusts Democrats more on the issue of gun violence. The irony there is that, of course, gun violence is crime, but it's an example of how, in our sort of partisan, polarized environment, the issues can take on a different sense depending on which party is talking about them. So there are advantages sort of for Republicans, but also some for Democrats when it comes to these issues.
So is it a question of whether voters want to see more law enforcement, for example, more people being arrested, that kind of thing, versus stricter gun laws?
So in general, voters actually want both. And we have pulled this along with Ipsos, and we see that when you ask voters, do you want increased spending on police, or do you want to sort of reduce funding for police and shift that towards social services, overwhelmingly, voters think that the best way to deal with crime is to spend more on police. But when you ask them about the Democrats' position on gun control, they also support the Democrats' position on gun control, which is, you know, background checks and making sure that certain people aren't allowed to have access to guns and things like that. And so, in a way, if you could combine both parties' positions, you would get the most popular outcome. But I'll also say, most Democrats, in fact, nearly all Democrats, are not saying that they support defunding the police, and never did. It was more of an activist argument in the summer of 2020. But at this point, you know, Biden and other Democratic leaders are saying we should spend more money on police.
Now, polls show political extremism is also a big concern for voters. Could that impact how people vote?
Yes. So I think that when it comes to political extremism, we see that voters in the most recent polling that we've done with Ipsos is that it is a priority for them, and they fear that basically one of the reasons that people are turning out in this election is because they want to vote against the other party. And so we see that there's sort of like a fear of extremism on the other side. And the good news is, though, you know, the vast majority of Americans, 85% of Americans, say that political violence and things like that are never acceptable, and so don't support things like that.
All right, Galen Druk, always great to have you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.